quite difficult to find a family relationship that is presented really positively. And even the ones that are, relayed positively, there's some details that he puts in that you think, oh, I don't know if they would have, I don't think they would have loved that.
Were you actually surprised that at least I was, that Prince Charles came off the way that he did? I think a lot of people may have thought that there was much more tension between the two of them, but he almost sympathizes with his father in the way, saying he was not ready to take on this role as a single dad. Didn't really have the compassion to have these conversations about death and things like that. But it seems like he does have a little bit more sympathy than we thought.
Absolutely. And I think that's to his credit. That being said, I think I don't know whether this is true, but we certainly had heard that initially when this was written and Elizabeth II was still alive, that the Charles came off a lot worse. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be, as I said, there's a strangely very monarchist core to this book where you don't really insult the monarch, so you hit the heir. And in many ways, I think Charles has come off much more sympathetically than we expected. William has come out of it a lot less sympathetically than we expected. I don't think anyone expected the book to be as harsh on William as it has been. Although quite interestingly, some of the reviewers here have said it's that William and Catherine do ultimately come out as quite sympathetic, but just totally lacking in comprehension about what Harry is going through. That seems to be one of the broader takeaways from this. But yes, I do agree that Charles, there was a lot of compassion that he showed for his father in the writing. I mean, I think that's something that hopefully in the long term will be remembered by the royal household. But we have to remember Harry's immediate peer is his brother, and that is, I think that it was the stuff on William and Camilla that I think will be the stuff that really sticks with people in the long term.
Harry talks a lot in this book about how, so much of this is he wants his family to understand him. He talks about, you must know why I'm doing this. And they say, no, we have no idea why you're doing this. Do you think this book accomplishes that? Does it help his family to understand? Does it accomplish what Harry's hoping it's going to do? Or does it just further complicate things?
Yes to both, in a strange way. I think to give an answerless answer, because we were very frustrated for a clip. Yes, I think yes to both, because I think in some cases reading this, you do get an impression of, as I say, a very palpable rage and grief. And I do think that Prince Harry has a really strong case when he says we should have been more muscular in how we responded to the paparazzi after my mother's death. He said, I don't believe that it was simply because of her driver being drunk. I believe the paparazzi clicked the camera, the flash blinded the driver, and that's why the crash happened. And my family did not pursue that because they did not pursue legal charges against that because they were afraid of enraging the media. I find that when he says that, I do think that is a fair indictment of the royal household to say they should have been tougher after the death of William and Harry's mother, just in terms of, I know they obviously negotiated a certain truce about how many photographs to be taken of William and Harry, but I can see his point in saying they should have been prepared to step up to the mark more and being stronger in their negotiations. So in that sense, I think if I was any member of the royal family reading it, I would think, oh, well, actually, maybe there were long-term things that were brewing beneath the surface that we didn't appreciate or we didn't understand, and we have to sit down and try and talk to him as best we can about this. The flip side of it is that everything in the book is seen through that lens. It's quite difficult to find a family relationship that is presented really positively. And even the ones that are, relayed positively, there's some details that he puts in that you think, oh, I don't know if they would have, I don't think they would have loved that. The stuff about how much he admires his late grandmother, Elizabeth II, for plugging her ears when Brian May was playing the national anthem. Great, not great for Brian May to read, and probably not a hugely necessary detail. So I think in that sense, yes, I think you will find people saying this makes it harder to fully relax and have those open conversations. So I think on some levels, yes, it will help them understand this is someone who's been dealing with a festering wound that was not treated at the time, and hopefully that there can be this healing in the future. But at the same time, there are, I would imagine, a lot of people who are very hurt by this book, and that's not to say that Prince Harry isn't right to be hurt, but it's also not fair to say that nobody who's mentioned in the book also doesn't have the right to feel hurt by it. So it's a complicated issue, as it is in many families. The difficulty for them now is that they have the entire world watching them and knowing about it and having opinions on it.
Definitely. And then finally, I mean, you know, obviously a huge issue that Prince Harry has is with the British press and the British media.
Yeah.
Is there any way that after reading this book that things will change between the royal family and the British media? And could they all put on a united front and change that together? And would that be one step forward to fix things?
I would love to see that. And I think actually one of the things that I think Prince Harry in his best moments could really be a champion of. Although, of course, it's really important to note that Prince Harry has made a decision for him and his family to live in America. So this mightn't be his battle anymore. But, you know, one of the things I think we have to remember is Britain's not the only monarchy in Europe. And this level of press intrusion doesn't happen with the Swedish royal family or the Norwegian or the Danish or the Belgian or the Dutch or the Spanish. It just doesn't happen. So what is it about the British monarchy or perhaps the British media that is so intrusive? And I hope something can change, because we can't, you know, this is in the history of the monarchy, this level of media intrusion and media harassment is relatively new. This didn't happen to the Queen Mother. It didn't happen to Elizabeth II or her husband. It happened to her children and her grandchildren. And it does feel unfair, grossly unfair, to watch so many psyches and private lives just being rolled underneath the onslaught of the media. The caveat I would say to that is, though, in many ways, this battle was a battle for 10, 15, 20 years ago. The media in Britain is still really, really influential. But like all forms of print media, it's a less confident empire that they exert now, because we're seeing social media getting involved. And actually, in many ways, a lot of the damage is done with rampant speculation online. So I think that they hopefully the monarchy can come to a better, more humane understanding with the media. And as Harry says, that the media can stop treating the royals like they own them. But I think the nature of how we all interact with media is changing and has changed. So what we do about social media, I don't know, but I would hope with the more mainstream print media, we can see, God willing, a more humane relationship going forward, like you said.
For more news content and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.